So it's 5:25 in the morning here on Monday, July 19th of 2021. I'm here at the North Cottonwood trailhead at the end of Chaffee County Road 365. I'm going to attempt to climb to the top of Mount Harvard today, and then my constitution and the weather willing, I'm going to attempt to then traverse onto Mount Columbia. So it'll be a long haul today. Good to get an early start. And here we're at the beginning. Still just a little dark out. Not going to need this flashlight for too long.
So welcome to my video of climbing the Mount Harvard and Mount Columbia combination. This view shows the two mountains from the summit of Missouri Mountain to the northwest. Mount Harvard, which is on the left, is the third highest mountain in Colorado. Mount Columbia is connected to Harvard by this long, rugged ridge and is very much its own mountain, shown here from the top of Harvard. This view of Harvard from the northwest was taken from the top of Mount Belford. The clip here shows Harvard from the south on the approach through Horn Fork Basin. Here the mountain is seen from the southeast along the connecting ridge, and finally from the summit of Mount Columbia. This picture shows Columbia from the north from along the ridge, with the boulder fields that constitute the most tedious and treacherous parts of the traverse visible on the lower left. This closer view toward the top of Columbia was taken near its northwest ridge from about 13,400 feet. Here, both peaks are shown from the summit of Mount Yale to the south, with Harvard on the left. This view from farther to the south was taken from the summit of Mount Antero. The winter view here was taken from Buena Vista to the southeast, with Harvard concealed by neighboring Columbia. Mount Harvard was named in the summer of 1869 by geologist, surveyor, conservationist, Yale graduate, and Harvard professor Josiah Whitney. Having just completed a comprehensive geologic survey of California, Whitney set his sights on exploring and surveying the towering peaks that were rumored to exist in central Colorado. He was joined in this by William Brewer, a botanist, agriculturalist, chemist, and surveyor, and a professor at Yale and graduate of the same, who had been Whitney's assistant during the California survey. In addition to support personnel, the team also included 4 Harvard students of mining and geology, one of which was Henry Gannett, who would later figure prominently in the Hayden survey as a topographer and geographer. At some point in early August, as they approached these heretofore largely unknown mountains, their attention was drawn to 2 high summits in particular. They gave the peaks names that accorded with the schools implicated in the expedition, calling the northern one Mount Harvard and the southern one Mount Yale. On August 18, 1869, members of the expedition would make the first recorded ascent of Mount Yale, and on the following day, the first recorded ascent of Mount Harvard was made. Mount Columbia wasn't named until 1916, when a gentleman named Roger Toll made the first recorded ascent of the peak while placing summit registers on the Sawatch Peaks for the Colorado Mountain Club in containers he himself had designed. In keeping with the tradition that began with Whitney and Brewer, he named the peak after the university he had attended. Toll pioneered the collection and tabulation of data on Colorado mountaineering, and among other things published numerous books on Colorado's mountains, and went on to become the superintendent of 3 national parks. The connection of the universities to their namesake peaks proved not to be limited to the mere act of naming the peaks, and on a somewhat amusing note, in the early 1960s, 3 Harvard students attempted to carry a pole to the summit of Mount Harvard, affixed with a sign that would be just barely higher than the summit of Mount Elbert. and declaring Harvard the highest point in Colorado and the second highest point in the lower 48 states, surpassed only by Mount Whitney. They were unsuccessful in getting the pole to the top, though, and abandoned it high on the mountain. But the next year, another group of students, 2 of them from Harvard, were on the mountain and happened upon the abandoned pole. They took it the rest of the way up and placed it where it remained until the early 80s. So this was my 3rd time climbing Mount Harvard and my 2nd time climbing Mount Columbia. This is how you reach the North Cottonwood Trailhead, which is the starting point for the standard routes up both mountains as well as for the combination route. The standard route for climbing Harvard, which I used on all 3 occasions, involves the fairly mid-range endurance stats shown here, as does the standard route on Columbia. And actually, the first time I climbed Columbia, I ascended by way of the off-trail Southeast Ridge route. But this was my first time on the traversed route between the 2 14ers, which was a significantly tougher undertaking than either peak by itself, and actually, admittedly, even more than I had realized. So anyway, enjoy the footage.
So this trail starts off on a pretty level stretch. Almost immediately you arrive at this good bridge to cross North Cottonwood Creek here. And Mount Harvard is to the northwest of here, and initially this trail goes in a more westward direction and then gradually wraps around and heads north, particularly once we get farther up into Horn Fork Basin. And now we're starting to go up a little bit here. Still heading moderately steadily upward, roughly westward, probably at about 10,000 feet or so already. And there is this kind of level stretch here as I continue along on the south side of Cottonwood Creek here. And we are entering the Collegiate Peaks Wilderness. And still on this relatively long initial flat stretch towards the west, lightening up. Still at only about a little over 10,000 feet, maybe 10.2 or so. Alright, so coming up here now, still going westward after having started to gain just a little bit more elevation on this initial stretch. I'm about, say, roughly 1.5 miles in, and I'm coming to this second bridge over the creek here. And just after that second bridge, reach this trail intersection. Cranky Lake to the left, as well as Browns Pass. We want to continue to the right and head for Horn Fork Basin. And at this point, our trail is going to start to veer northward gradually, and so we are now going to be headed in a roughly northwest direction. after that trail intersection. And as you can see, right after that trail intersection, the path does begin to gain elevation more steeply. Still fairly moderate, but definitely steeper. Up here, maybe in the neighborhood of about 10.6, has gotten a little bit steeper yet, even. So I'm roughly 2 miles in now, and I've arrived at this leveler stretch after that pretty intense stretch uphill back there. Probably at close to 11,000 feet at this point. And back once again on an incline. And it's got a little gentler once again as I continue to veer more and more towards the north. And the view's starting to open up here, as you can see. Looking up there towards Mount Columbia. Alright, so I'm up here on a steeper stretch once again, probably close to about 11.5. And as I come up here to this sign, I reach this trail intersection. We see Mount Columbia to the right, Mount Harvard to the left. And I have taken the left fork of that trail because I want to go to Mount Harvard right now. So I'm up here just after the intersection of the Mount Harvard Trail with the Mount Columbia Trail, and over to the west here you see that impressive rock wall. Now, if you think that's impressive, we have up to the north here the first good view of Mount Harvard summit right there. And as I always say at these moments, don't be intimidated now. And just after that, this trail does go off in a temporarily east direction towards the towering Mount Columbia there. However, pretty soon here it will resume in a northward direction. And you can see we've turned north once again. And it's kind of just winding on a pretty level stretch through these willow bushes just after having passed tree line back there. So now I'm up here at about 11:07 or so, about to cross Horn Fork Creek as I continue to go through Horn Fork Basin. And I believe right after this, the path is going to become steeper and probably stay that way from here on out for the most part. And I'm up here probably close to 12,000 feet now. Behind me to the south, we can see Mount Yale. And of course, and we're heading northward to Harvard. I'm actually on a somewhat more level stretch up here, gaining a couple hundred feet or so immediately after that crossing of Horn Fork Creek. Won't last long though, I'm sure. Now I'm up here going now steadily upward on this path, probably a little over 12,000 feet, and you can see it's about to get even steeper up here. So I'm now going up this steeper stretch that I zoomed in on back there. And yeah, it is feeling about as steep as it looked back there. Now that stretch was grueling. I'm now up here at about 12.4, and if you go this way, it takes you a little bit to the west to a lake called Bear Lake. However, I want to continue this way to the right to head up toward Harvard. As you can see, finally reached some sun now.
And as you could obviously tell, the path turned abruptly into this talus trail. It is pretty well marked though. Not only rocky, but pretty grueling. So, still winding my way steeply up these south slopes here, and after going temporarily out of view, Mount Harvard is now back into view up there. Still a ways to go. So it's temporarily relented and become a little more grassy up here after that steep stretch of talus back there. I'm up here close to about 13,000 now, I believe, and I'm going to show you the rest of the way up. First thing is we're going to continue up these grassy slopes in a north-northwest direction, and then come up to those rockier areas, and then continue, and then towards the end we make a slight angle towards the north and up to the top. Well, winding my way up these steep grassy slopes. And I've come to the end of those more grassy slopes back there. Now it's getting a little rockier up here. And as I get up higher here, the path does start to consist of some looser sand. And farther up here, the path maybe gets a little hard to follow. I think I strayed off of it a little bit back there. Now I'm back onto it. This is a pretty relentless stretch. Feel the burn, for sure.
probably close to 14,000 now. There's the summit rocks right up there. Getting closer. Wow, look at that. And the view down there. Looking there roughly to the north. Come up here and complete this. So you gotta make kind of a non-trivial move at the top there. Kind of fun. Looks like you can choose a couple of different lines. I'm gonna swing over to the left here. I think I remember this from before. And up here, go up this little ledge here.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Tired?
Yeah, right?
Mount Harvard. I'm just leaving that. Got up to that at about 9:30, so it took me about 4 hours. Now it's about 9:45 after I've had a few snacks and some water, and now I'm going to head over this direction and try to make my way along the traverse to Mount Columbia. And the easiest way initially eastward along the summit ridge of Mount Harvard is to go to the left or the north of the summit rocks along this path here. See some cairns. And a path down here. And continuing my way eastward along the, making my way off the summit of Mount Harvard and down towards this traverse stretch here, doing some boulder hopping along some boulders, and there's a few cairns, intermittent sections of trail still, and make my way down to this gap. So after dropping down off of the main part of the summit rocks there, I'm down into this lower area, and then there's this rock tower up here, and my understanding is you have to pass that around on its right. After passing by that initial tower, I'm on kind of a flatter area here on top of the ridge. So I'm now going along to the right of this collection of rocks up here. There is still a faint path leading the way. So just having gone around to the right of those rocks there, I am now descending down into this flatter dirt area here. And you can see up there, there's still a defined path along a ridge here, along this east ridge of Mount Harvard. Following that flat dirt area, you cross these rocks here, come down to what looks like the continuation of the path across the ridge crest here. I know some people have gone down that way. I'm going to try this first. See what's up here. Oh yeah, okay. This now looks a little treacherous. You know, I think I should have descended down to the left back there instead of going straight. So, looks like I'm going to have to try and correct for that.
looks like I'm safely back down, on my way back down to where I need to be. Yeah. So next up, looks like I go around to the right of this next rock tower here. And next we have this pointed rock formation up there. I think you also go around to its right as well. I don't know if you can see that faint trail in the grass down there on the right of this rock tower here. I think that's what I'm aiming for. Looks like I can go down lower to get to it or up higher. I'm going to try up higher to the left here. It looks like a fairly solid path. And I'm just finishing my way boulder hopping down the rest of those boulders to reach this grassy trail that I pointed out just earlier. Going around to the right of that rock formation there. Okay, I'm on this grassy stretch now kind of descending down along it, and the rest of the Harvard-Columbia Ridge is coming into view. See Columbia way up there. Yeah, long ways to go. Now you're looking back up at the upper parts of Mount Harvard there, and I am still coming down this rather lengthy section of faint dirt path here in a roughly southward direction along the traverse. Looks like the path is now going to the left of the ridge crest. Past these towers here. And there's Bear Lake way over there. And there's looking down the slopes of the right side, or the west side of the traverse, as I'm continuing along this path on the left side of these towers. My understanding is that pretty soon up here you contour around the side of that high point there, which is like 13.5 roughly. You kind of contour around and down the left side of that. So we'll see how that goes. Alright, we're coming into some talus here. Well, the path is maybe a little fainter, but it's still there. There's still some cairns as I contour around the left side of this 13,500 foot point here. Yeah, not much of a path left at all at this point. See a couple cairns, but mostly just talus.
So I've reached the north end of the 13,500 foot point that's right up there, and my understanding is that now the best thing to do is descend this ridge for a while, and then kind of at some point down there kind of double back up over those talus fields over there, and then from that point you make your way up the rest of the route. I'm told that some people choose to go directly into down to this steeper area beyond that wall, and that's not the best thing to do. So I am going to take that advice and head down.
So I'm still engaging in this tedious, time-consuming boulder hopping down the east ridge of that 13,500 foot point. Pretty slow going. You know, on this stretch, I have been actually seeing, I guess, what I could call the faintest resemblances of sections of rudimentary trail and piles of rock that could be called cairns. But, you know, other than that, I'm just trying to find the best way here.
So I think I'm finally reaching the end of how far I need to go down this ridge. The lower part of it, as you can see, is more dirt and grasses. I think pretty soon here I'm going to end up wrapping around this direction and going up and tackling those lovely looking talus fields right there. That's going to be fun. Now I've taken a right and I'm heading south off of that ridge and towards all this talus over here. So I'm going to have to find some way through and up. So I've arrived at the talus fields down here, these vast fields of talus. I think what I'm going to do is try to walk across this and then up over there and up that talus slope to the right, and then traverse across those talus slopes up there, and that should get me hopefully to that grassy area up there. Anyways, yeah, what happens?
Well, as I'm going across this particular talus field, I am finding a few cairns along the way.
Now I've crossed that level talus slope, and so now the next thing is to figure out which way to try to go up to that talus slope. I think I'm going to go up this kind of pathway up here, see where that takes me.
So I'm going up the aforementioned path up the talus that I pointed out earlier, and I'm on the way back uphill for a change after going for so long downhill and across level stretches. Time to hit the old exert button again, I guess. After that last talus slope I went up with, which was kind of a chute, I've now elected to go up kind of the right side of this talus pile over here. And then once I do that, I think I'll proceed over to the left. Let's see where that gets me. Alright, now I'm up that stretch of talus now. Now I'm up here. I'm looking to go kind of across this talus field and more parallel to the ridge. That's the direction I just came from. Still going across this talus field. Came to these rather large boulders up here. And after that, you kind of go down a little bit. And who would have thought? Continue across the talus. So I need to continue across that talus, and then I believe it looks like the next stage is going to be you have to go up that steep talus slope way over there. And then we'll go from there. Well, this is kind of neat, I have to admit. I mean, granted, I didn't have to go this way, but what the heck. Okay, so now I've made it across the level part of that talus slope, and I'm ready to do the ascent up that talus slope. There's this damn bank of snow in the way. Oh yeah, why not throw that in there too? So I think I'll do, to avoid the snow and what may be lurking under it, swing around to the left side and then around the end of it and then up from there. Well, looks like I'm slowly but surely making it up this talus slope. Still heading up that talus slope. We've come to another bank of snow, and it doesn't maybe look quite as bad as the last one. I'm going to test it out. Seems pretty solid. I think I can make it up this. I think I'm up here close to 12,900 feet or something like that now. I've gotten far away enough that we can once again see the upper ramparts of Mount Harvard, now distant. And there is the 13,500 foot summit that I had to skirt around the right side of in order to get to the talus field that I just have gone across and up. And so this here is a second, more southerly 13,500 foot summit, and I'm going to go around the side of it that I'm actually on, and there is the aforementioned area of green that was above me that I had talked about a number of clips ago. I think what I'm going to try to do is ascend up that and see what's up there. Go from there. So I've reached this flat area. Imagine that, above the talus slopes that I'm going across right before I angle onto these slopes here. As they go up the grassier slopes here, finally coming into view again is Mount Columbia, the summit there. Damn, you know, it still looks quite a ways away, but closer than it did a couple hours ago. I think a little over 13,000 now. And those grass slopes, guess what they've given way to again? Not talus. Well, still quite a stretch of talus left before we get to the north ridge of Columbia there. So I finally got to the top of that. And up here, this kind of field now. You can see up there, I have to climb a little hill before I then reach the final ascent. So I'm finally reaching the top of that last hill. And here we see Horn Fork Basin from a totally different vantage point. So, like I said, I've reached the ridge, and it's about 1:30 at long last. I've finally reached the last leg of this day. I'm about 13.4 right now, so I think I've got maybe 600 or more vertical feet still even to go as I So I'm beginning the ascent southeast here up Mount Columbia's northwest ridge, and I'm hoping that the path is at least fairly discernible on this after all that time of off-trail adventure. Well, so far I'm heading up the left side on this fairly discernible path. Seems to be kind of converging on the ridge crest up here. We'll see. Well, maybe this path isn't so discernible after all. I couldn't find its real continuation in the direction I was going, so I've kind of switched back here to see if I can find something better up toward the ridge crest. Found maybe another path further up. Not really. Well, after kind of just winging it back there, I'm now on the left side of the ridge, and this actually looks like the most promising path I've come across so far. Yeah. So this seemingly correct path seems to be following up the left side of the ridge crest. This is a pretty steep final ascent, really. I think the path switches back. Right there. Oh, yeah, see? Loose sand up here. Well, I'm not sure what the path did back there, but I'm almost to the top, so maybe we'll just do a choose your own finish kind of scenario. I mean, kind of been the character of this a lot of this day anyway, so what the heck. Well, seems like this is the path anyhow. False summit. So, sorry.
It's all good. How you doing?
I'm real tired.
Did you come from that way?
Okay, well, so we came up the Basin,
Okay.
the summit of Mount Harvard, and all the
There's a
way.
trail between Harvard and here?
No,
But you just did it?
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Holy
Wow.
shit, dude.
Well, that was exhausting. Now I'm finally descending off the summit of Mount Columbia. Fortunately not back the way I came though. I'm going south along the more southern part of its high ridge here. I'm done walking across that stretch of the south ridge of Mount Columbia. Now I'm on this meandering slope down its west slopes trail. This is kind of annoying right now. Boy, I tell you, this Mount Columbia West Slopes Trail, going down it to this point has been nothing but a nightmare of loose sand and rock. I'm just so glad now to come to the new portion of the trail that's been recently worked on by the Colorado 14ers Initiative. Yeah, a lot better. They're going down the west slopes, lower part of it. It's a nice lower part of the trail. So it looks like I'm done with the west slopes Mount Columbia Trail. I'm coming back to the main North Cottonwood Trail. Remember this sign from earlier? Yeah, seems like a year ago. So I'm crossing back over the first bridge, getting back to the trailhead. It's about 5:50 p.m. Harvard Columbia Traverse. Wow, what a long day.
So it took me roughly 11 hours and 45 minutes to complete this, which isn't even counting the 40 minutes I spent talking to people at the top of Mount Columbia. Now it does include the time I spent taking pictures and videos, which has increased lately as I've gotten more into this video making thing. But anyway, this was probably one of the harder routes I've ever done, particularly in regard to the endurance stats and the route finding. On a traverse stretch, while there are discernible paths leading off the east ridge of Harvard and up the northwest ridge of Columbia, virtually everything in between is off trail, and most of this is tedious climbing on large boulders, often requiring the use of both hands. If you're interested in climbing both of these mountains but aren't necessarily up for this kind of lengthy and rugged off-trail trek, I would suggest climbing them separately via their more standard routes. The boulder fields east of this ridge are probably not the best place to become exhausted or disoriented. If you are up for this kind of challenge, or even welcome it, do it, but give yourself plenty of time and review the route beforehand. Anyway, see you on the next mountain.